Welcome back to Sorry That's Confidential. This week, I don't even know. It's been a few weeks. You know, and we say this every time that we're going to put something out every week. It's harder than you guys think. Like going through and recording, getting on a schedule to record, and then editing, and then you're like, is this good enough to put out? And then
having a life.
Yeah, work, family. And then you finally put it out and you're like, well, on to the next one.
Yeah.
2 weeks later.
We're doing the best we can. But I'm excited for today.
Same. We have a really great guest.
Yes.
However,
you could probably hear them breathing. Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh, my skin's tingling.
I know, I'm a heavy breather.
This person is pretty special to Jake and I. She is our former manager. She has about 30 years in HR, leading people, developing teams, and navigating the wild world of HR. She worked in healthcare, manufacturing, and in the public sector. She's a regular mom, a dog mom, and a cool mom, if you will. With all this on her plate, we figured who better to spill the tea on work, leadership, and life. Everyone, please meet Brandy.
Thank you.
With a Y, not an I.
With a Y. I am a Y person.
Yes.
So thank you. That was very kind of you. Very kind.
Jake, how nervous should we be interviewing our old manager?
And I was actually thinking about this today, and I was like, please don't ask her what she thought of me when I first was hired.
No, we are absolutely going to ask that.
I think I'm pretty sure I told you straight away what I thought of you.
Yeah, it was not good.
Oh, that's funny. No, I was so in your face. I don't think I had a filter about anything.
No.
Ever.
But I mean, I don't think I've ever really told you guys what I was going through when I was getting hired on there. We might have, because Brandy and I have shared moments. A lot of time in a car.
You guys fed goats together.
Yeah.
Alpacas.
They were alpacas.
They were
alpacas,
alpacas.
I'm sorry.
Goats would have been equally as
No
fun.
hate to the goats out there.
We actually
No.
watched a live birth.
Yeah, I have never
Of an
experienced
alpaca.
that. Yes, that I actually found the photos, and it brought me to laughter in that moment because we saw the alpaca farm, and I don't know who insisted on us turning around, but we had already passed it.
Yeah.
We turned around for that
For
farm.
the alpacas.
Yeah, and we got so lucky. I didn't want to leave, and that's super creepy because the mom alpaca was giving birth, and that's kind of private, discreet, but I was so I need to see this.
You're like, I want to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was intense. Yeah, that was a special moment.
I remember when Jake came in for his onboarding and was just buttering you up. Legit. And I was eye rolling in the background. Of course, I would never let Jake at the time see that. But I was like, this guy is just going to be one of those guys.
You're going to have to watch this guy.
Yeah.
That's funny. That wasn't the perspective that I got. I do remember a little bit, but that was an everyday, the look that we would give each other, I felt is keep an eye on them. Regardless. It's HR. You got to keep an eye on everybody. But with Jake, I specifically remember for his onboarding, he had told me he was going on a trip with his friends to Vegas.
Yep.
And the dates he told me happened to coincide with something else that was in the moment very, very important. And I knew I was passionate about that time frame. In Vegas was BTS before their last big concert. And so I was like, you aren't going because of BTS, are you? Because I was going to be mad. I was like, you're number one enemy if you are.
Yeah.
But
And I was
joking.
Who is BTS?
Yeah, it's help me. What? Huh? And I'm like, Army? No, you had no clue. And so I tried to explain it to you, and I could see your eyeballs kind of get big. And there was a point where you looked like you glossed over. I'm not tracking in this conversation at all. Yeah.
But he learned very quickly.
Yeah.
I learned all the BTS people.
Yes.
Yeah.
I only know of BTS apart from you, but they did a song with Halsey.
Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
loved that song.
Great song.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, just from that lengthy discussion, I think we're good. We don't need to go any further.
Yeah.
Screw HR. You had a question before we started. What was it? It was really good and juicy too. You were on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have a
So
question. That
you're-
wasn't my question.
Well, because
we just
we were
heard.
asking, like, I asked her if she was like comfortable with the podcast stuff, and she was like, "I've been on the radio, guys," and we're like,
Like,
"What?"
Jeez, you guys. I'm old.
You're
So
not
there's a
old.
lot of stuff that I've done that most people probably don't know. But when I was in my college years, younger, I won a contest to be a DJ for the night. And yeah, it was just an experience. And I got to play all the music that I wanted to play, which was not K-pop, by the way, because
Yeah.
it was a long time ago. It was a lot of alternative rock and punk. That's what I liked. And so,
Nice.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, yeah, they recorded a soundbite of it, of course, too, to help promote it. And they played it for months, which was like super annoying. And I'm like, oh my God, please
gosh, that's me
stop.
again.
Yeah, it's like that
Jeez.
noise is that sound, that voice is terrible. You know, and even some of the other presentation stuff that I've done in my career, and then I've been part of video recordings for certain things, and I hear my voice. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel right. But you know what? It is what it is. I can't change it
Yeah.
Yeah.
unless somebody's got something magical out there that can help me with it. But no, you can't change it. It is
Just
what
wait
it
till you
is.
hear this. It is weird because I go through and edit everything, but I hear my voice. But
It's interesting because when you talk, you don't hear your own voice. You hear what
Yeah.
you hear through your head,
yeah.
obviously.
Anyway,
Yeah. Let's just start.
Okay.
What was it like when you interviewed me for the very first time? Do you remember the interview?
Yes.
When you were going to hire me?
Yeah. So I remember, I actually remember your resume more than anything.
Really?
Having the
'cause it was so
interview.
bad.
Horrible.
No,
I'm
no,
just kidding.
it's horrible. No, because I remember your background was, I always go at resumes looking at the fact that you don't have to have HR because everybody does HR. That's the secret. It's whether or not you do it well that makes you successful in your job. And so I look at people's resumes. That's at least my personal opinion.
Yeah.
When I look at resumes for people to potentially interview and talk to for positions, I'm looking for somebody who has some sort of passion and a challenge. And so where I saw that you came from, first of all, manufacturing, which comes right up to my experience where I came from. And I think that speaks volumes of having to be able to adapt in a timely manner, like just pivot.
Yeah.
Because manufacturing is all about production.
It is.
That's number one, and number two is money, but production is the money. So time is money, literally time is money. And I love that philosophy. So you always have to be able to adapt to change, and maybe you don't like it, but you're used to it.
Yeah.
So that's one. And then an office. You had an office, like a clinical office, as I remember. Was that true? Or yep.
Yeah.
Which I know, having been in healthcare, that's a challenge in itself. And so that vast difference between manufacturing and even medical healthcare,
Yeah.
that's huge. So you've jumped from point A to point F essentially in my book, and so I know that you're in it.
Yeah.
So that's what I remember pointedly about your resume. But then talking to you in the interview, I will be very, very frank. You undersold yourself.
Really?
You did, but a lot of people do naturally. So if you oversell yourself, that's bad too.
That's like what Jake does. I think that's why we have a good balance going on.
Yeah, absolutely. The heavy with the,
Yeah.
no. I don't think Jake sold himself either in his interview either.
I actually hated my interview.
You did. Hate
Yeah.
is such a strong word.
No, I did. Because I used words, and then I was like, I used those in the wrong context or in the wrong way. And I caught myself, and there is no going back from it.
Yeah.
But I still got the job.
It's interesting because a lot of people in HR, we see the other side. We're on the other side of the table more often than anybody else,
Yeah.
regardless if you're a hiring manager or not. You're on the other side of that table. And so you have studied, you've seen, you've witnessed, you've done all of the things you shouldn't do. So it's super easy for us to be very critical in an interview where most people, they truly don't know what they're doing anyway. That's what I have found.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leaders, they're just trying and
Yeah.
they're up against a whole lot of other things. And so the dynamic, the power play, the I guess the positioning between sitting in the hot seat that I like to call, I think I've told both of you it was a hot seat. I love that because it is a hot seat. But I love calling out the awkwardness of it in the beginning to make people like, yeah, it's all right. It's
Yeah.
okay. Because that's my signal to you is like, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
We're going to get through this together. And if you're going to struggle through that, I'm going to struggle right along with you because I don't want you to be nervous. So
Yeah.
I think that is something that I found with your interview. I didn't do that very much because I saw you as underselling yourself. I saw it as a little bit, you were nervous. Everybody inevitably is in nervous mode unless you're absolutely two ways. One, you think you've got it in the bag.
Yeah.
Or two, you don't care.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't care because you're not really looking for a job, or you don't care because you know that you're not going to get the job. So,
Yeah.
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 So I think I actually prefer hiring people who know that they won't get the job.
Yeah.
Like I'm so
Yeah.
underqualified. And those are the people I want to look at.
Yeah.
Those are the ones I like.
So I had 2 interviews today for an HR manager over in we're opening a new clinic.
Dang.
It's
a
on the
lot of
other
work.
side of the state, right?
Yeah.
So there's one guy, he has a law degree. His first job was a director of HR in
Wow.
HR, like ever, like HR world director of HR. He has a law degree. He's passed the bar in 2 states. This guy, he was very much like, I'm going to get this job. I'm going to nail this interview. Second guy, he has a bachelor's in theater.
In what was that?
In theater.
Theater? Well,
Like,
okay, I can see that relating a little bit. You
Right.
kind of got to act a little bit with HR, I guess, to relate.
and he works in HR now. He started as like an assistant, worked his way up,
Oh,
and is now like an HR manager of a small clinic. But he is very much like the humble type, underselling himself. And I did not like the first guy,
Yeah.
the guy with the law degree. I was like, yeah, no, sorry, guy, you're too confident. You're too into yourself, and that's when mistakes are made.
Yeah, that can kind of be off-putting when you're on the other side of the interview. For sure.
I was kind of trying to put myself in the framework of what would happen if we're working and I have a vision of where we want to go and somebody else in that position that I'm hiring for feels differently. It's one thing to feel differently. It's another thing to communicate your thoughts, emphasize your needs, and with the whole vision, being willing to put yourself out there to challenge it, to be curious,
Yeah.
but also having the ability to be humble and trying to take direction and pivot. If you are overly confident in an interview, you're not going to sell that. You're not going to be able to sell that well. And so that's where they have the upper hand. If you come in it as like, I'm just throwing my name into the ring. It could be a shot in the dark, but I don't think that I'm qualified for this position, but I want it if you gave it to me and I know I can run with it. That's somebody I want to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you really hit
Yeah.
the nail on the head when you said you're looking for passion,
Yeah.
because that's what I look for when I do interviews, from receptionist all the way up. But I also have another question, because you mentioned being nervous. Do you get nervous when you interview people?
Oh, that's a great question. No.
Really? I still get nervous when I interview people, just because I'm like, I don't know what I'm walking into. This person could be batshit crazy, or it could be a really great interview. You never
what?
know.
That is true. You never know, but I find that's where the joy is. That really is. I find that's or the substance, the juice, the unexpected
Yeah.
aspect of it is like, what am I going to find today? You know, in
Fair.
our adventure number 3 interview today, what is this one going to be? And then you walk away like, oh, that was unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way. I, personally, to be interviewed myself for a position, I've only been interviewed twice. In all of my jobs, I've only been interviewed twice. So to talk about, well, I take that back. There was a third one, but it was for our previous boss somewhere else at a different hospital. And so that one was cheating. I didn't interview for that position. I basically, he brought me in just basically to talk to his staff to make them feel appreciative of their work because they had a great culture in their hospital. He wanted to make sure they heard from me about all of my experiences that were not. And so that was more of them just being inquisitive, but technically, so a third interview, but truly only twice in all of my years. I've only interviewed twice. And the first one was when I applied for my transition, when I applied for the hospital, moving out of manufacturing. I had no clue. And it was just a shot in the dark. I had no plan of leaving my job because I had the best job ever. Had been there 24 years, never thought I would ever leave there, but it was an opportunity to just try. Our kids were grown and my husband was working elsewhere. And so he didn't even know I applied. And I was like, you know what? Well, what do I got to lose? And so that's where I went into this interview of, I have nothing to lose. I'm just going to be real. I'm going to be me. And it worked out really well. I mean, it's not like the greatest interview in the whole wide world, but they got me. They knew exactly what they were hiring when they interviewed me. And then the second one was for my current position. I applied thinking they're never even going to call me.
Yeah.
And they called right away. And I was like, oh, this is interesting.
You're like, they're desperate.
No, part of me is like, what's the catch?
Yeah.
There's always a catch. Yeah, they called me straight away and I came in and there was 3 people there. And again, I went, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I don't need this job. And I gave them me. And then I walked out and I'm like, well, they're never going to call me. And then they called me in for the second interview and it was a table full, literally in our conference room of 14 leaders. All of the senior leadership was there and it was the hot seat. And I went in, I was like, holy smokes, this is going to be intense. But then I sat
Wow.
down and I was like, you know what? I got nothing to lose. And so they started asking me the questions and I gave them the authentic me and I got it. I really got it.
Do you think that's where people get, I guess, when people go into interviews, they don't get the job. Do you think it's because they're not their authentic self? Like going into, you're trying to be a fake person. You're trying to be better than what your resume is portraying you to be. Like
You
being
can
yourself.
tell.
Yeah. Like, do you think that, because for me, that's the last few interviews I've done for my last job and my current one, kind of the same thing. I was like, I'm just honestly, I'm going to be me.
Yeah. I actually agree with that in so many ways. Specifically somebody who job hops a lot and you can tell that they're being authentic or phony. If you job hop a lot, there's nothing wrong with that. If you job hop a lot and you're almost not even listening to the full question and you have a canned answer, that's phony. It's not, there's no connection.
Yeah.
I want to connect with you. And so I actually, for some of my questions, deliberately start with one question and be like, wait, no, I'm going to go a different direction and then mix it up in another direction, like, oops. But I do it with all the applicants and it throws sometimes and you'd be like, what was the question? Because they go to start answering it with the mindset of what's your biggest strength and weakness, which is a question I hate, by the way. I refuse to ask them. But so many people love them. People study and they come with a canned answer. And so it's hard to sell. It's really, really, especially with HR, because you can't bullshit another HR person. Either you know it or you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if they don't get the job offer 9 times out of 10, it's because I didn't connect with them. And I truly believe it's about the authenticity.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because you don't have to be the best, most qualified person. I've actually turned down a lot of very qualified people, managers, for roles specifically because they didn't have the mindset, the connection, the curiosity, all of those, the personality. I would rather take somebody off the street with the best personality and train them. I will invest my time into them to make them successful.
That's one thing I can definitely vouch for, that you did that with me.
Oh, thank
I
you.
mean, hiring me as an HR assistant, and then I remember when I was at the employment specialist level and you told me, you were like, you could do the generalist. Like, you could do it. And I was like, Brandy, are you sure though? Like, be so for real right now. And
You're
you're like,
so sweet. I remember it in the sense of walking away like, gosh, I'm really manipulating and pushing hard. Like I am going, I almost in some ways is like, okay, Brandy, you gotta back off. You can't bully her into that position. And I'm being sarcastic in some way, but I saw something else in you, and I still see that in you. Every time I talk to you about your talents and everything, actually think you undersell yourself all the time. Jake as well. But when you see somebody's potential and they are okay in the position and they find their parameters, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, because sometimes seeking out more, it's not the right thing for you.
Yeah.
I've chased the brass ring before. Not for me. Not for me. I know I will never be a CEO of some other company. Maybe my own company. Absolutely. I love being my own boss, but I can't be a CEO for other people. The idea of being an employment specialist and being very happy, there's nothing wrong with that. But I saw you as kind of limiting yourself. You're almost pigeonholing yourself because you felt so comfortable in your box.
yeah,
But you're curious, and your box needed to be bigger.
yeah,
And so you have the ability to move past that. And knowing that you've continued since I've worked with you, and I know I see you, I've told you that before way back when, that as a business partner, I saw you there. You're curious. You're not going to let it lie because you know the difference between right and wrong. You have the ability to ask questions. I loved, payroll, you detail. You absolutely detail. If you loved payroll and detail, oh my gosh, you are a rare breed, because people don't like it. Either you don't like it or you're just doing it. You're not really passionate about it, at least in my experience. So
yeah.
yeah. So I'm sorry, but you're welcome at the same time for that
No.
experience with you.
Totally fine. I appreciate it. And I honestly think that if you would have never left, things wouldn't have worked out the way that they did. And I think we all would probably still be there.
Oh, you think so?
I think so.
We had a great team.
We had
We had a great commitment to one another.
Yes.
I would say that team. It was pushing, but not in the sense of the team. I think we had to focus, but there's always drama everywhere. I'm going to say that. I'll admit it. I participate in drama sometimes before, and not just sometimes. I have zero tolerance for it now.
Yes. No. And I actually saw the person
Ooh.
that had it out for me when I didn't even know what was going on.
Okay, I need to actually stop for a second. I need to tell you, when I listened to your first episodes, I was actually sad. There was a moment, my feedback for you guys on your episodes. It's so wonderful to listen as somebody who I know, because as you guys were talking, I was talking to you. I'm like, oh, that's so funny, Ashley. Oh my gosh. I just can't talk enough about you guys' banter. However, talking about when you see the documents and investigation documents, I got to apologize, only because it hurts. It hurts me because I tried really, really, really hard to keep some of that extra drama out.
No, and you did at the time. You really did. But I also really appreciate with you transparency. As a leader, you have a beautiful way of communicating and being transparent with your team on where things are at and where we need to be, and where, things are maybe falling through the cracks, because it's nice to kind of know what's going on. And not a lot of leaders do that. They will hide it, and then you're just kind of moseying on about your day when all these things are going on. And if you're someone like me that knows there's an area that's lacking on the team, I want to take the initiative and help. Absolutely. But not all leaders are good about delegating and communicating like that to other employees. So I really did appreciate that about you.
Really? Thank you.
Yes.
Well, I definitely have a very strong belief in character in the sense of I have courage. I live in my courage all the time. So much in your face courage that it can turn people off. And I get that. I know I'm bold. I call myself quirky. I've been told a lot of different things. If you don't like it, you don't have to like it. I'm not forcing you to like it, but we can work together. That's always the way my philosophy has been about my personality.
But you also have heart in that.
Oh, thank
You
you.
do.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
I think if you didn't have heart and you were bold and in your courage, it would be very difficult to work with you.
Really?
For
Okay.
sure.
Well, I needed this.
Yes.
I needed that comment today, especially.
Yes.
Everybody needs to be built up with that a little bit because sometimes it feels the other way. So it feels, thank you for saying that. That means a lot coming from you. I do appreciate that. I will say that sometimes though, with having the ability to be transparent, there's responsibility with that. And you have to see some of the warning flags, and we're very fortunate in HR. We see those flags all the time about gossip, and I have zero tolerance for gossip. There is a duty to be a leader. You should be transparent, and those are those hard conversations, crucial conversations. And I've gotten very, very passionate about my communications, and that's where I reside in a lot of my fun off work stuff. I'm now certified in crucial conversations, and so I'm very passionate. But a true leader needs to be able to have those moments of being downright frank, meaning it with being authentic, being clear, but also providing it in a safe manner. And so a lot of people can't do that. If you are going to be, you're going to skirt around the truth. They think they're telling them the truth and they're sugarcoating it, and they're being nice about it. That's not a leader. Leaders are not nice. The best leader is one that is kind, accountable, and transparent as possible in a supportive way to help you benefit from it, not blame you for it.
Yeah.
Because it's not your fault. How do you know
Right.
without being told?
When I left the hospital, because I then went into leadership, I was like, I'm going to be the leader that Brandy was, and I will not sugarcoat things. And I was like, the transition for me was in my head, I was going to be more direct with people because you were very direct. And you know how to say it in a way that's not breaking this person down and making them understand you're wrong and I am right. But it's like, here's why you're wrong. Here's the reasoning behind it. You take it or leave it. That's what it is. And it's very nice and it's very like straightforward. I took that and that's how I've mimicked it. And now where I'm at today, I've had hard conversations. I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm just going to tell you straight up. But like, why be mean about it? You're not a leader if you're going to break somebody down. So that's stuck with me, and that's kind of like how I've modeled my leadership role. But I don't think I'll ever master it the way that you have.
Oh gosh. Oh, now my head's going to get real big. I need to come here all the time. I appreciate that actually. So part of what you're saying, and I've through a lot of my passion of reading in communications and leadership specifically, you're talking about agency, the sense of giving people options, and you're empowering them to know the information to make a decision based on that. By telling them a yes or no and not allowing them to have any other kind of opportunity to make a decision, you're taking away their power, their ability to feel they have control. That's part of why it's so important for them to understand the details that what you see is missing, the gaps. And so I don't always do that. I want you to know that I don't always just be in your face. Sometimes you have to have a conversation with somebody and you got to get the buy-in because they don't know me. I don't know them. Right. So you have to invest in that. And there's a balance to that. I always try to be curious with them and get their buy-in. Once you get there's a moment. There's a moment where you can feel that there is a connection. But then once you do that and you're transparent with them and you're able to give them the facts so they are better prepared to make a decision. You don't have to make a decision right now, but this is what it will be. Point A, point B. Here you go. What would you like next? What's your next topic? And I think that it's empowering for those. It's empowering for me too, because we're not wasting any more time.
Yeah.
So
Have you always been like that?
no, no. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I,
I can't see a time where you're not like
Yeah.
you.
really?
Like, I'm sure back in the day,
Yeah.
for like, I mean, how Ashley and I were when we started like underselling not your authentic self, just kind of like starting out in your career, like, but like, I just can't imagine it.
Well, we're all young and we learn from our experiences. So it takes a lot of hard experiences to do the best growth.
Yeah.
Challenges produce things. That's what I've always tried to hold in the back of my mind. But I was a very shy person. And most people were like, no, you're not shy. Yeah, actually I am. I'm not that person who likes to be the big, bold person in the conversation. I do because I feel like I'm impatient. That's probably what's speaking louder there is my impatience. But I have learned in order for me to be successful, you have to be that way. And so if I wasn't in the role I'm in, I probably never would have experienced or pushed myself to develop some of those skills. But I'm learning every single day because it's always complex. Every single scenario is different. You never know what you're going to get in a conversation. You don't know how something will land. And when you're yourself passionate, it may land wildly wrong, unexpected, or somebody throws in a curveball at you. So I just try to remember that if I'm going to try and keep in my sincerity by being truthful, what I believe is truthful with the facts, and try to remember that what I know, what are facts and what is my story, and then what you're telling me is what is the facts versus what is the story. I feel like you can build the best trust in a conversation. It's about making it safe. Yeah. So
Was there ever a moment where you almost quit HR?
absolutely.
Just kidding.
Anybody who worked one day in HR in COVID, yes.
gosh.
I mean, I think that's probably why I feel such a connection and passion for you guys, because we've obviously gone our separate ways, and I was the outsider in the regard of the boss. I felt like I really was invested in you guys, but you guys were a different age. There's the sense of authority over the job, but and that's just kind of what I've learned to get. But I still am very, very passionate about the people, and I think we were is it trauma bonding during COVID?
Yes.
And so I truly feel like we were in it together, blood, sweat, and tears.
But I was gonna say there was a time I was running around your backyard racing a 5-year-old girl.
That is the most charming memory I have of you, Jake. I had a impromptu barbecue for my husband's coworkers. I called you guys and said, "Hey, we have a fire pit. Come on over." And you guys showed up with a couple other people. I truly felt we weren't, employees, peers, or anything. We were family. We were invested in each other.
Yeah.
Your joy was my joy. But, during that time when there was a child in the backyard, and I was messing with you, Jake, hardcore. Like, Jake just loves racing children. He loves to run. And boy, I goaded you into having to run with that child.
Yeah.
And boy, you handled it well. You did it.
Yeah.
I think you wanted to strangle me, but you did it anyway.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. But no, I think it comes with kind of like what you were saying, that we were all trauma bonded.
Yeah.
And it just made us closer to, and that's, I guess, what I loved about that time. But yeah, there's a lot. And it's funny because, so we were kind of talking about this, about quitting HR. So I saw this post today on LinkedIn, and this guy said, being in HR is insane. At 8:03, you're explaining attendance policy to somebody who technically quit spiritually 3 months ago. By 9:17, you're investigating why two managers aren't speaking to each other after a chili cook-off incident that somebody involved passive aggressive, a missing crock pot, and legal. Before lunch, someone else cries, someone lies, someone forwards an email that absolutely should not have forwarded, and someone says, "Can I talk to you confidentially?" while standing in the middle of a hallway full of people. So it's like this is legit. Like that post is what we
That's
go
life.
through.
Yeah,
That's our
and
life.
the whole time I'm thinking, and for the love of God, can I just get 2 minutes to go to the bathroom?
Right. Or eat a lunch. Like
Yeah, no, I haven't ate
lunch.
30 years of HR. I can 30 years of working in HR to actually sit and take a lunch and to pack a lunch and eat it. Packing is one thing. To eat it, maybe 50 times in my whole 30 years. It just doesn't happen. The only
Yeah.
time I eat my lunch is when I go out to lunch for a meeting because there's a purpose. Otherwise, I don't take a lunch. That's when people want to come and talk to me. Staff are looking for me.
Yeah. Because they're on lunch too. So they're
Yes.
like perfect time. So then it's like
Yeah.
you don't have these breaks. You're not taking lunches. You're not taking care of yourself at that point because you're constantly working and
You're working up a bladder infection.
UTIs.
Yeah, you're working up something else a little bit different, and the having the ability to pivot on a moment's notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unpredictable because the job is 100% of the experience of the employee.
Right.
That's anything.
And that's why I have been like so close to just giving, like before I took this job that I'm in now, like I was getting out of HR. I did not want to do it. And to this day, like if somebody gave me an out, I would take it 100%. But I love being in HR. It's hard for me to wrap my head around leaving it. But if somebody reached out and said, "Hey, I have this job, it pays this," yeah, I would do it.
Really.
But
Is it because you are curious about your ability to take your experience and move into something else and test
Yeah.
the waters, or you truly are done with HR?
I think it's a mix of both.
Really?
I think I'm just with I'm it's hard to be in HR, like 100%. Like if things go wrong, you're the one getting blamed.
If things go right, you're the one getting
So
blamed.
it's an emotional roller coaster for somebody. And like I always say, like I don't have emotions, and I don't. Like I'm not an emotional person, but the toll that HR has taken on me has been great. And I'm young for like in the HR career and HR life. Like I'm still considered, because people stay in HR for years and years and years. Like you've been in HR for 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
still
nuts.
young in it, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
I was in it when you were
stressed.
born. I mean, it
I didn't wanna bring
literally,
that up.
I know that because there was a moment when I was the young one. I want you to know that. It was wonderful. But then the natural ability to do HR and do it
Right.
well, it always keeps pulling you back in.
That's my problem.
So that's where I see you and Ashley both. You're good at it. You're really good at it. And at the moment you open your mouth, people are going to see that and they're going to pull
Yeah.
you into that, and they want to hear it because not very many people are good at it. It's really hard to find somebody who's consistent, passionate, level-headed. I mean, reasonable. Let's talk about reasonable. I mean, there's a lot of bad HR people out there.
Amen.
Amen. I've
Yes.
worked with
Yes.
some. They think they've got it figured out. They come in and they want to get you fired because you're wrong. And it's like I'm going to sit in my core values and know that it's
Right.
okay. There's something called karma, and I can wait you out. And so the moment you start talking about experiences or sharing your thoughts or how to handle a situation, they quickly tone into the fact that you have that HR know-how, and you're going to be drawn into it. Yeah,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
I think that's what my boss saw.
Yeah.
Because he was like, because I know now I was interviewing for something completely different, but he was like, no, I want you in this HR position. And I was like, fine,
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
And honestly, if it's a whole thing, like if somebody did reach out, please reach out to me. No, but also I'm like so curious because when we had Cara on, she was talking about HR in the retail world, and that's so interesting to me. First off,
Wild.
you're working with a bunch of teenagers and
Yes.
young, like 20-year-olds stealing stuff all the time.
Yeah. They're on their phone when they're supposed to be helping customers,
Right.
or they're gossiping, or, there's so much other pull.
Yeah.
Unless it's, a brand that they're passionate about with retail or
Yeah.
something, there's something else about it. I can see that you would help ignite some sort of passion. But
Retail
yeah,
is just crazy,
that
though.
manufacturing was that way too, because
Yeah.
I had a little bit of a different skew because mine was agricultural based. And so
Okay.
we had a full-time staff of about 275 people. But then seasonally, we went up to 600 staff, and we had truck drivers and, office staff and field workers and all sorts of stuff. So there was a very wide range of complex issues, and it was very challenging to have younger workers, even back then. And I was young, and I got it. But
Yeah.
when you deal with the whole spectrum, it's very complex. The best part about that job, though, is they know what they're in for. When they start the job, they pretty much know what they're working at. They know they're not going
Yeah.
to work at, Saks and Fifth Avenue retail store. They're going in to work in a manufacturing plant. Their expectations are that.
Yeah.
Where I feel like where I'm at now, there is an expectation that may or may not be aligned. There's a little bit of a mismatch with that. So that's the hardest part about for me right now is that job is bringing in those candidates. So knowing up front what they're applying for, they understand what they're applying for, and are they ready for that? So, yeah. And also the smarter, more educated employees there are, the better potential, the better fun, the more curiosity, the more innovation. I love that. It also comes with they're a lot more informed. So
Yeah.
you better be prepared because they're going to challenge you. So, yeah, I love that.
I'm just like totally thinking about like working with you and how that whole experience was. It was
wild.
amazing.
It
And
was
we went
wild.
through a lot. A lot of different directors.
The turnover was incredible. I remember when
It
you came
still
back the
is.
second time.
Yes.
So you and I started at the other hospital. That's where I met you first.
Did
Fell
you
in
start at
love.
the same time?
No, I had been there probably a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
Felt like 5 because you knew so much.
Well, not by choice. So the worst part about that is the turnover, because I believe healthcare will eat you up and spit you out, because it is quite truthful to say no matter what goes on, it's always HR's problem. It's HR's fault, HR's problem, and they don't know how to do it right. And I'm showing you exactly every single thing that needs to be fixed. I'm asking you for help to help me fix that. And it's challenging to get an answer or a result.
It is. It's hard to be looked at as like an aligned partner in healthcare. You just automatically kind of get siloed out.
Absolutely. The business partner role that I was there, that I started at, that was the funnest job that I've ever had.
Really?
It was wildly fun. Getting to know the leaders, partnering with them, because in my mind, I love the strategy. I love having a trajectory. You tell me where you see yourself, where you want to be, and I will get you there. That's my challenge. I may not be able to articulate it to you, but come along. We'll do it. I'll show you.
Yeah.
Just like sit down. Here we go.
She will.
Yeah, like buckle up. That's the funnest part. I don't have to have a data analysis. I don't have to do, a work plan that's, 100 different points. That's not the way my brain works. I have ADHD.
Welcome.
Yes. My mind is pinging all the time. I'm going AB 12/7, yesterday, and I've already seen where I'm going. I know where I'm going, and I know what things will work and what won't work. But some people have a challenge in hearing or putting themselves out there as like, I don't quite see this. And it takes some experiences and saying, of me being a little bit more humble and saying, okay, I hear you. That's okay. This is your decision. But if that's your decision, just know this is what I believe will happen. If it does, let's talk. And of course, lo and behold, what happens? It's not that I'm saying with, oh, I have 24 years of experience. How great am I? No, I have 24 years of experience, which is more odd a favor of your circumstance I've come across before.
Yeah.
That's what that means. It's not that I know the answer, as I've seen it before.
Yeah.
And so I can anticipate some of those red flags. And so when you have some of those experiences from your leaders, and they'd come back to you as like, hey, you told me about this thing, so this thing happened. And you just look at them and they're like, yeah, you told me. And I'm like, I didn't say it. I
Yeah.
want to tell you I told you so, but I didn't, because that's not who I am.
Yeah.
But in the back of your mind, you're like, I told you so. Yeah.
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 It was wild working there. I don't know how we made it, you guys.
Do you recall how horrible it was to train? It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare to learn the jobs.
So I think the only thing I really disliked about training was if it wasn't the right person. Because if they're not open to receive the information and learn the why of how we do things before they try and change everything, it's not going to work. It really isn't. And I think people who come into roles like that thinking like, oh, I'm going to make this better, but you don't take the time to invest and learn, ultimately you're just hurting the employees at that point, because there's a reason. And I remember when you and our HR director wanted me to go and train another generalist on the team, and I was all for it. And I also have like a little bit of empathy for new hires too, because I know how scary it is. And like, that just breaks my heart. Like, I don't want you to feel like that with me when I'm training you. And I never felt like that when I was getting trained by you. And so, but this person just, it was like I would go and train them, and then I would report back to you, everything that we went through. And then I would come to find out like they are not doing any of that. They're just kind of doing their own thing.
Because they know better.
Yeah. And that was like,
It's common.
it was hurtful, but on the scale of like, you're hurting the employees. You're not hurting me directly, personally. And I don't think it was ever personal with this person. I think they just honestly had their head so far up their ass.
Yeah.
Is it the same person we're thinking of?
Yes.
Yeah. There are always those people out there. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't see them in the interview. That's why I definitely don't like interviews for that purpose, because people can be very good at interviewing. And they're not showing or saying the whole picture. But again, you're not asking for the whole picture. You're hoping to see the whole picture. But a lot of when that sort of behavior happens, the hardest part I remember for me was the ask of, okay, Ashley, you're my ace. I know you've already done this. I hear you. I see you. I hear you. I know you're swamped. I know you've got 10 billion fires in your own office, and our needs are super, super vast here. But over here, I need you over here. And I know you've already done it once, but let's just go do it again, because I have to do the HR thing.
Yeah.
And maybe you knew that or not. I think I may have shared that with you, because I always try to overshare to help people understand and learn.
Yeah.
But I had to do the HR thing to document and prove that you're providing them the access, the resources, the training, the opportunity to be successful, and they're still missing that mark. So you can take the next steps.
Yeah.
But then you have to have a director who's willing to take the next steps.
Yes.
So.
And I also think when you would ask that of me, knowing that I had all these other things I had to get done, and I was, held to strict timelines on those things, there is a little bit of comfort knowing that your boss is asking you to stretch when you're possibly already stretched as far as you can go. Mm-hmm. The comfort I found in that is knowing that you knew what was on my plate, but you're asking me to do this. There's a reason why. Yeah. And so knowing that, okay, I have to do this. So if one thing gets missed, you understood. You know why.
I don't recall a time that I was ever upset with anything. Maybe not being 1000% done, because that's what you do. You do everything 1000%. You know that.
See, guys, this is why hire me.
But there's an element of, I truly believed that where your work was, that was something that I could flex and help and do. And,
Yes.
there was, because we're all being stretched. We were all being that way. But I knew I only asked certain people to do that because I knew that they were equipped to do it right. And that you're thorough. Your attention to detail. You hold people accountable. You explain the right things, not just shove somebody through and do this, this, and this, and not help them understand. That's not how people learn. I don't care how you learn. People will never learn if you just say, put A plus B equals C. Why? Why?
Yeah.
There has to be a purpose behind it. And so you have that ability in you naturally. And so that's not a gift that most people have.
Yeah.
So plus you hold yourself accountable. And so I know that if you're doing it to your satisfaction, it's definitely meeting my satisfaction. And so if that person can't be successful, I've given him everything I've got. You've given them everything you've got. And it's unfortunate because some people, you can lead a horse to water.
Yes.
I know it's so tacky, but you can
can't
lead
make
a
'em
horse to
drink.
water. Yeah, you can't. You just can't. And unfortunately, I need to prove and document that they're not drinking that fucking water.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
So
Too bad we can't
I don't-
waterboard people.
No, but I don't know like why. Like that's the thing is like there's times where it's like you have to document to prove those things. Just walk in their office. Walking in her office, there's stacks and stacks of employee files, and if you're in HR, those should be in a locked file or behind 2 locked doors. Nope, they're just out. Anybody could walk in that office and take them. And there's so many audits, like especially after you left, where it was Ashley and I.
There were times where we
sorry.
had to go in there and dig for like licenses.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry because I remember specifically multiple times going in and doing part of the work to prove I'm fully in this with you. You're not alone. Let's
Right.
just get this done, because that's all of our work.
right.
Nobody's too good to do that work. I'll go scrub the toilet if you want me to.
Yeah,
If I'm going to ask you to do it, I'm going to be right there with you. And so I know that going in and I would do hours upon hours of that work and then leave a very good chunk with directions and then come back 3 or 4 weeks later and nothing's been touched.
Yeah.
And I know I'm working 14-hour days. If I can get some of that stuff done, you can get that stuff done in your 8-hour day. Just think about it. And I'm not trying to point blame, but there are definitely very good skills in the sense of always having an excuse.
yeah,
There's pattern. There's pattern with excuse
yeah.
and no ownership. So you got to reflect, even if you're trying to get away with it. The best advice I can give somebody who's faking it, and you could at least act like you're reflecting and own it.
Yeah.
For the most part.
That was a fun time.
I miss those days. To be honest, after you left the hospital, that is when things went south really quick.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
And it wasn't your fault because you set this team up for success,
You did.
but then
We were
lost a leader.
at like the bar.
Yeah.
Really?
You left us at the bar, and
Not the bar in Uptown.
I've
Not
left
the-
people at the bar.
not the alcoholic bar.
Yeah,
but,
usually they're
like,
feeling pretty good.
No, you left us at that, we were performing at our highest, I think. Or,
Yeah.
Really?
you can always perform higher, but I think we were all.
There was a
like,
trajectory I
yeah,
felt like we were all capable of doing.
well-oiled
It
machine.
was just hard to keep that standard when you left. Especially because, like, I knew the why, and we had a lot of new people on the team, and not everybody knew the why. And it was just really hard. It was like trying to keep grasping at things that were just slipping out of our hands because we didn't have you anymore as the buffer to be the hard stop of, no, this is why we do what we do.
Yeah, that's the hardest part of the work. But I think it's very kind that you say those kinds of things, but I felt like I was never enough. I was never, let me rephrase that. Maybe I felt like I was never enough. I was never allowed to be enough in some regard. That's why I was just to a point at one point I did quit. That was disappointing. I should have walked away, probably for everybody's
Was
sake.
that my first week? We had pizza.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah. That's a true statement. I had resigned in a moment of, not just a moment, no, it was a culmination of COVID, high turnover, high turnover, because between the two departments, the two hospitals, there was supposed to be 12 FTEs and we got down to 2. And so I was literally living at that place 7 days a week and doing as much as I possibly can. And I was still being blamed. And that sucked. That really sucked. But I knew, I love a good challenge.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for a good challenge. Even
Yeah.
now, I joke with my boss. She's fantastic. I banter with her that I'm a sucker for a good challenge. You put something impossible for me and I say, I dare you to do that. Dare me to, and I will do it. You know,
Yeah.
I'll go crazy. Everybody else around me will go crazy, but I'll do it. But I felt a sense of passion for one, and knowing that everything was so far out of our control with COVID. I felt bad about the clients, the patients, the community. Everything was in such upheaval.
Yeah.
I felt sorry for our boss too. I mean, I felt sorry for myself. I think that's probably the biggest thing is that's when my first lesson in burnout that I was fully unaware of. I didn't know what it was. And that's wild to me because I was 25 plus years of experience. I'd never experienced burnout. And there it was, slapping me in the face. And so I was so committed.
Yeah.
The one time the CNO came and literally yelled at me for something that I had not been included on.
I remember.
And she lit me on fire. And I finally had enough. It's like, listen, my finger came out, not the middle one, the Brenda, the one I named Brenda. My first finger came out and I was just like pointed at her. I was like, get out.
Yeah.
I have nothing to do with that. You go talk to my boss.
Yeah.
And she was just frustrated. That's your job. You go do it. And I'm like, I can't force my boss to tell me things. I can't do it. He's taking it on. He's got it. I've got enough of my own plate. But
I feel, and I might be naive saying this, but that is the one thing that I don't understand why these leaders act like that. Like, why do they act like that? Because, and I know it's not just where we worked, it's happening at other places.
absolutely.
And these small companies, big companies, why do these leaders act like that with these employees? And why is nobody speaking up?
It takes courage to step up to people who are in a position of authority, for one. And that's scary, right? Not to say that this is the answer, but this is what I've seen. It takes courage. And then you have to be all in. You can't waver on them because they'll railroad you. You know, they will plow past you. They won't even see you there. They'll just keep going. And so they don't care in that regard. Their passion, who I believe in their character, their core beliefs, are not in line with being respectful, a good employer. A good employer. I don't want to work for those people. I guess that's the moral of the story is through all of my experiences, but especially with healthcare, I know exactly what I don't want in an employer.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like I'm really successful in my job now because I know exactly what I don't want.
Yeah.
And so people who can't see their own actions and how it's impacting other people, they're the most dangerous people in a position, I believe.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have the ability to break a culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the expense of whom? Of whom? And you've got some really good, passionate people that you're going to disenfranchise, burn out, hurt, mentally impact. Because I have PTSD in so many regards. In my new job, it took me about 1.5 years for my boss to say, you don't have to ask for permission. I'm like, what? And she's like, you make the decisions. I'm just here to support you. And I'm like, what? Like, I get to make the decisions?
You're like, what's the catch?
I know that I always say that. I'm like, you reeled me in. You dangled a bunch of nonsense in front of me and I took
Yeah.
it gladly,
Yeah.
you know, but I'm being sarcastic. It is about not ever wanting to have those people dictate to me my employment, my employer's culture. If I have to suffer through that again, I'm not going to be there. You lose out. And I would gladly take every great employee you have along with me. That's why I've always said that sometimes in my career, there are certain people that I work with that I know I will always reach out to.
Yeah.
They always come to mind. You know, obviously I did with you, Ashley. I knew Jake had already, his trajectory was already leadership. I didn't have anything to offer for you, Jake. I'm so sorry. Not
Nobody
that Ashley
ever
didn't.
does. They always want Ashley.
I know. Yes, we do. We always want Ashley for her charm. But there was an opportunity and I felt like it was just timing. I felt really, really bad that it was under a lot of circumstances for a lot. I mean, I was on leave of absence, for crying out loud, and physically unable to do the work. And so
Yeah.
I felt like I was leaving the team stranded. That's unfortunate. I hate that feeling. I want to be there right there with you guys.
Yeah.
So, but that's okay. That's part of the journey. And doesn't mean that our futures equally won't come across in the future again.
Well, Jake said in a previous episode that if he could make it happen, he would. So
Oh, amen.
he said it.
Call me.
Yeah.
Call me.
No, I would. Honestly, like I would step down and let you take my position.
Oh God, no. I want to work for you.
And
Can you imagine the fun? I mean, we went to Walmart one time, and I have pictures, proof that there were cowboy hats that were just a
forgot
little bit
about that.
obnoxious,
Weren't they the
and
Bud Light?
yeah, the beer cowboy hat.
beer
I mean,
cowboy hats.
yeah,
Well,
I didn't get very much opportunity to really have as much fun as you guys.
There
Apparently,
was one time.
I remember one time I was just having a day and Jake took me out to lunch and let me get a pina colada.
I would have so bought you that pina colada.
Do you remember that?
Well, I will admit that before I came here, I was going to go and stop and get a beer because it was a day.
Yeah.
That's it. It's necessary sometimes.
I do want to know what is your sorry that's confidential moment? Something that you like have dealt with that you've never been able to really talk about.
And you're asking me to talk about it?
And now you can like don't name names, don't name places, obviously, but like something that you're, I guess something is the biggest investigation that you're like, this is absolutely ridiculous. That
I
I'm
have
even
a
having
lot of
to
them.
investigate
I know.
this.
Yeah, I have a lot of them, but I can't talk about them.
See, and that's where I'm like,
But you know what?
HR
I will
people.
tell you I have funny experiences throughout my career, but the hardest part about answering your question is because I tend to be an open book. So at the moment,
Right.
because I find moments in some of those experiences is humorous. You know, it's like, what were people thinking? You know, you would not believe this because this, out of this came this. This is the moment. This is where the juice is. This is where you're going to learn it.
Yeah.
And it's funny. But I don't have very many that I can share other than I did have a previous supervisor in my younger age that was very, very, was passionately hated, and nobody could ever get anything on this person for action to happen. Not because they just disliked this person, but because this person, I was unethically. They shouldn't have been in the position. They utilizing the power in the wrong way, and favoritism. I mean, there was all sorts of stuff going.
Yeah.
It was wild. It's wild, you know. But when I finally did get the opportunity to subtly train up a couple people, because I was instructed not to by this person, to train them up and get that to that point where I could actually do something. Nothing happened. I was wildly disappointed. And so that's where I have learned that even though you are having some of these other conversations and you're coaching and you're helping people and you're doing the right thing, you're doing everything that you by textbook. still may not work out.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah, it is. But I again, karma comes around. So
Yeah.
that person got their
Always
own.
does.
Yeah.
But
I have one more question. At this point in your career, what matters more to you now than it did 10 years ago?
That's a fantastic question. What matters more now? Connection and understanding. 10 years ago, I would have said doing everything right, maybe
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
That element of holding yourself at the highest pedestal, and I'm going to be the superior and do it absolutely perfect. Now, I will sacrifice that for connection, to truly understanding the why behind certain things for individuals, for processes, for things, events. Because as I get older, I learn through some of that curiosity, other perspective. Where when you're younger, you got it figured out. And I think moving, now that I've experienced that, I'm actually looking forward to the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Because where is that going to take me?
Yeah.
I think some of the best stuff is going to come out of that. The challenges, that's where you learn the growth. And so that's probably from on the top of my head. That's where I would go with that.
All right.
well, it's been a great time having you on the show,
Thank you.
on the podcast.
Yes, thank you. It's
All
a lot
right,
of fun.
guys. I'll pray us out. Just kidding.
Well,
I may need to after that.
yeah, seriously. Anyway, I feel like that there's things I wish we could talk about more and get into like nitty gritty, but like you said, I think there's a lot of things that you just can't talk about, but oh man, if we could.
I would
Things
tell
would
you
get
this. I
crazy.
will tell you, if there's ever a specific topic, you shoot it my way. I may have some insight. I would just have to be creative.
Right.
Yeah, we all have to be creative. Because, I'm sorry, it's confidential.
Right.
I love
It is confidential.
Look at her.
Jeez. It's like you belong on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm done, guys.
It's the
Permanent
fangirl.
guest
It's the
spot.
fangirl in me. I've listened to a
done.
few.
No, but it's been fun having you on, and I hope we can have you on again.
Yeah.
And remember, everyone, that's confidential.